Mr. Brady of Texas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm confused. You repeatedly regret the $1 trillion annual deficit that you were handed as an administration. And since Congress controls the pocketbooks, White House can't spend a dime. It isn't given by Congress. Remind us who was in charge of Congress for 2 years when you were handed that huge annual deficit?
I think you know the answer to that, Congressman.
It's Democrats.
But the damage to our fiscal future, the transformation from $5.6 trillion of surplus.
We heard that earlier in the comments.
But those came.
I think I just want to make sure our listeners weren't confused by who you did. There is common ground. Anger and outrage has been handled by you in Treasury. Congress, Democrats, Republicans, the public as well. Both the first two bailouts, the secret deal that gave 100% on the dollar to the counterparties of AIG, the Fed then trying to prevent the public and federal. The President was outraged at the $45 million in bonuses. It's a year later, the $100 million in bonuses. Now, whoops, the administration's handling of AIG resembles the Keystone Cops. And it'd be funny if it wasn't leaving taxpayers crying about it. In this, taking the eye off the ball, pursuing, I think, extreme agenda and failed economic policies. Today, consumers have no confidence, little confidence in the economy. Businesses aren't willing to hire back new workers or make those expansion plans because they're frightened by the thought of higher health care costs, higher energy costs, higher taxes. But where there is common ground, is in the President's commitment the other night at the State of the Union to double exports over the next 5 years. Other economies are growing faster than the United States. That's where the customers are at. Selling U.S. products and goods around the world creates jobs in the United States. Up here, Mr. Secretary, I put up a graph of what our exports are doing. It took 11 years to double the exports during some pretty strong economic times and global growth. And my question is, because I welcome what the President said, and there is common ground for that, I believe, on this panel and in this Congress. So what is the President's plan to double exports over the next 5 years?
I'm going to ask the Secretary to respond. However, I hope that members give time for the Secretary to respond within the 3 minutes, because it's so unfair to the newer members who won't get a chance to answer questions. Also, please be brief, Mr. Secretary, so we can make certain that we can get answers.
Congressman, glad to hear what you said about exports. I think it's a very realistic objective, partly because the world is faster and because American companies are very good at competing in a range of things that the world needs. So I think it's a very realistic objective. I think it requires that we work together to pass strong trade agreements that will expand opportunities in those foreign markets. We can't let other countries go and compete away those markets from us. It requires some support through Exim Bank and Commerce to make sure that businesses are getting a little assistance where they can. And it requires we be investing in things that help us stay at the frontier of innovation. And so by putting, as I said, the largest investments in basic research and development, permanent extension of the R&D tax credit, targeted tax incentives to new technologies, those are things that make a big difference and help make sure that we are in the game gaining market share around the world. But I think you're right to emphasize it. In fact, U.S. exports have been doing really quite well recently, but we want to make sure that we're reinforcing that.
Are the 3 pending trade agreements part of that plan this year?
Absolutely. And we want to, as the President said, it's not just that. We need to be in the game in Asia as they move to try to negotiate new agreements there. And we want to make sure that the broader Doha round of trade agreements, the multilateral agreements themselves, we put those in place in a way that's going to be good for American companies.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.